How are we doing today, everyone? I hope everyone's holiday season is going all right, and I hope your finals are going good. I know they've been beating me up pretty much lately. I just want to discuss real quick between Palestine and Israel and some of the history behind that, and then also some teachers' comment on it. So a couple of semesters ago, I had a professor who basically was talking about Israel bombing Palestine in a not so fashionable light. And I brought to attention that Israel warns Palestinians and the Palestinian people before they drop bombs with the threats and texts and calls, which is very true. This is really notable or really exemplified in 2014. However, they've done it since then as well. That they warn people before retaliating. Not even just they don't bomb out of nowhere, of course, but before even just retaliating. And what's really sad, and which I think what a lot of y'all already know, is that Palestine purposely ties people to fences and walls and encloses people and shoots off of hospitals and out of like elementary schools, so that when Israel retaliates, it's going to say Israel blows up school, Israel blows up hospital, Israel kills kids, Israel kills ill people or hospital patients, and of course it makes Israel look evil. No, what's absolute evil obviously is Hamas bombing Israel for being Jewish and for being Israelis and for just existing and for killing their own people. They obviously don't care about their own people. They just care about the death of Jews. We can see that every time. We can see that every time that they bomb, that they just bomb Israel, and when they use human shields, basically to try to demonize Israel after they try to defend themselves. So I actually wrote an article for the Millennial Review about Trump officially recognizing Israel as the undivided capital for officially, accepting Jerusalem as the undivided capital for Israel, and so and moving the embassy there. And so I wrote a little article on just on the quick facts of it. I'm waiting for that to get posted up pretty soon. However, maybe I'll put it on my Twitter just in case. So let's go over the history of it. So obviously, like I said, in 2014, it is most notable that Israel drops the threats and calls and text messages to actually warn the Palestinian people, the people that want to kill them, civilians that don't like Jews in general and don't like Israel, warning them so they don't kill them. That's one thing. Another thing, Israel has been willing to give up land for peace. Israel gave up the Gaza Strip in 2005 under pressure by Bush. Gave up the Gaza Strip. Since then, the Gaza Strip has been used as a site to bomb Israel from Hamas. So appeasing land isn't going to work. And even now, Israel is saying that they're willing to give up 90%, if not over 90% of the West Bank to Palestine, which, by the way, Palestine and the PLO and the Palestinian Authority, Palestine is now basically a quasi-terrorist state because it now runs, it's now them and Hamas conjoined into basically an authority. That's what it is. So it's a quasi-terrorist state. So basically, what happens now is that Israel is willing to give up land, but Hamas doesn't care. They don't. When you have in your creed that you want to kill Israelis and you want the destruction of the Israeli state or the Jewish state, you tend not to want to make deals with those, with the people, of course. So let's bring up in a quick example. I had it here and I don't remember where it went, but another comment that my teacher made as well. But he made it actually a couple semesters later. He made it this semester because I had him again. So my professor brought up that basically that Benjamin Netanyahu, he thinks that Benjamin Netanyahu basically stokes the flames of violence and doesn't really want a two-state solution, and that he is part of the reason. He thinks he's aggressive and basically along the lines of he doesn't think Benjamin Netanyahu really wants peace, the president of Israel. I kind of just questioned him on it. I didn't really debate with him much. Really, the only thing I said was that, well, he needs to be strong against Palestine. Of course, when you're getting bombed by these people, what else do you expect? Like, he's not going to be easy with them. So Benjamin Netanyahu even admitted to wanting a two-state solution. Back a few years ago, he said, well, yeah, they'd be willing to accept a two-state solution, but the only problem is is not the only problem, but he has two. He basically has two demands for a two-state solution. One is that, and this is pretty obvious, that that's why he'd want it. That Hamas takes out of its creed that it wants to destroy all of Israel, destroy Israel, and destroy the Israeli state. That's one, of course. Two, and that it recognizes Israel as a state, and this recognizes Israel as an actual country, an actual state, which it doesn't as well. And then two would be the demilitarized Palestine, to be a demilitarized state. This is, I think, fairly obvious as well. They're not going to want to buy either of those. They're just not going to want to. The Palestinian Authority, but demilitarization would be very important because pretty much because Hamas lies. That's the easiest way to say it, because anyone, you'd be a fool to think that they wouldn't shoot anything after, or wouldn't sneak weapons in or anything like that. You'd be a fool to think that they would ever even accept a demilitarized state. And Netanyahu really knows that, but that's what has to happen. So, in May of this year, CNN World came out with this article. I don't really like to go to CNN for my sources very much, but this is just a quick little write-up on it. I read through it, and it's just kind of stating the facts of the situation. So it says the Palestinian militant group Hamas unveiled a new policy document Monday that sees the group accepting for the first time the idea of a Palestinian state that would fall within the borders that existed in 1967, before Israel took control of the West Bank, Gaza, and all of Jerusalem. Obviously, 1967 was the 7-day war, where it was a preemptive strike in order against its several surrounding countries, because several of the surrounding countries, like Egypt, for example, were basically putting the militaries on their borders and were ready to attack Israel. And since then, Israel has kept the land that they took, except for the Gaza Strip, which they gave away, and except for other land as well. So the article continues with saying the group has long been under pressure to update its 1988 founding charter, which calls for the destruction of the state of Israel and advocates violence to achieve its goal of restoring a Palestinian state. However, the new document offers no recognition of the legitimacy of the Zionist enemy. So clearly, and we see this as a lie as well, and we see that it's a lie that Hamas will ever accept Israel as a state. We never want to coexist with Israel and Israelis, and even Jews for that matter. When after Trump announced that he was going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, Israel a day later, Hamas not only called for a day of rage, but instituted the day of rage by bombing Israel, literally a day after. So Hamas really doesn't want to coexist with Israel, and if they ever were to, if something like that is going to make them want to bomb Israel, then I can only imagine what other excuses they would use to just bomb Israel just cause. Which sometimes they don't even have an excuse; they just do it, anyways. So one last thing about the Palestinian region, what's really interesting is that when people say the Palestinian people, well, what is the Palestinian people? Well, Palestine is just a region. It's like California. So there's Palestinian Jews. There's Palestinian Arabs. There's Palestinian Jordanian Palestine. Palestine is just a region. That's all it is. It's like American Jews, American Christians, American white people, American black people, or Californian black people, California white people. That's all it is. It's just a region. Okay, that's all it is, and it's been like that since before Christ. And so the reason why we are really in the struggle now is because when Israel was created after the Second World War, a lot of Arab leaders told them and really, really urged, and in some instances forced fellow Arabs and Muslims from that region to move because they couldn't bear living in a Jewish state. Not only that, they thought it was disgusting to want their fellow Arabs and fellow Muslims, and the individuals themselves felt it was disgusting to coexist with the Jews. That's really what it was. So they flocked out of the country and out of that region in droves, and tens of thousands of people driven from their homes, urged by Arab leaders. And the Arab leaders were not wanting and were not willing to accept all these people. So these people had to settle somewhere. The Jews were not kicking them out. The Jews didn't say get out. Israelis didn't say at that point get out of our country. Not at all. They willfully left. And now they're blaming Israel for taking their land, which Israel has the biggest stake in that land of all, seeing as though Judaism came thousands of years before Islam. Islam didn't come until 500 years after Christianity, by the way. So they have the biggest stake to this. And the only reason why Jerusalem is even important is because of the religious, religious ties that Israel has to it, that Jews have to it, and that Christians have to it. That's the only reason why. Jerusalem is really only important because of Judaism and because of Judeo-Christianity. That's where it gets most of its prominence from. So whenever you hear people, or your professors or the left, I'm sure you're going to hear after Trump's move, basically saying that Israel instigates violence and everything else, just know that they forewarned Palestinians before they bombed them. That's really important because Palestinians don't care to do that. The PA and Hamas does not do that for Israelis because they hope to kill Israelis. Of course, they're not going to warn them that they're going to kill them. And then when they say that they're oppressing the Palestinian people, well, what's the Palestinian people? Everyone, there's Palestinian Jews, there's Palestinian Israelis. It's just the region. It's not a certain group of, ethnic group of Palestinians. It's just the region. So over there right now, there's, like I said, there's Palestinian Israelis. There's Palestinian Arabs. There's Palestinian whatever else is there. And whoever else is there. Okay, so it's a lie when they say that it's like an ethnic minority, just like the Jews actually are. Folks, just don't fall into the lie that Israel's somehow an aggressor or Israel somehow doesn't want peace. It does want peace, but it has certain conditions for peace, and Benjamin Netanyahu has certain conditions for peace, and that's to be accepted, and that's to not basically be called, have their heads be called, to be chopped off, so to speak, because they're Jewish and because they're Israeli. It's for the state to be accepted, and it's to not have the other group be calling for their deaths. And it's for the other group to not have guns, and to not have a militarized state, so that they can actually go through with killing them with violence. As Hamas stated that they're willing to, that they want to basically distinguish of the Jewish state by any means necessary, including violence, which is also in one of basically the tenets of Hamas. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. There's just a lot to cram in. I didn't want to make it too long because it's such a long history. I know I didn't go over it very much. But folks, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you tune in soon, and just continue to fight back against your professors and do it in a respectful manner, and just always strive for the truth. So thank you so much. Go on my Twitter. It's TCC1776. Hopefully you all come back next time. My name is Wyatt, and I'm the College Conservative.